the other thing of note this week that I did was I had a game. I had a board game, Table Lords night that went off day before yesterday. So yeah, Saturday. Played a game called Dialect. And so Dialect is...
I'm going to assume this is a dialogue-based game.
Dialect is a storytelling game. This was recommended by 12Mellow. And the premise of the game sounded so fascinating that I had to go check it out immediately. And what that is it is a game that is cooperative, and it is kind of like you get together and more or less are trying to tell a tale with your characters in a setting from the beginning to, the epilogue.
Right.
And in it, you're creating language, or more specifically, you're creating slang, right?
Okay.
So, the idea that's pitched on the cover of it is this is a game about language and how it dies.
Okay.
Right. And so what you have is a number of campaigns where you can pick a setting where a group of people are isolated from everyone else. So the examples they give you are
Let's see.
the first Martian settlers.
Got it.
A slave uprising.
Got it.
The last robots left behind after humans abandoned the Earth.
Oh, that's a sad one.
Right? Things like that. And some of them are even like a boarding school that for boys.
Sure.
Isolated, or whatever. And then you basically have that setting, and then within that setting, you have to talk communally to create some aspects that define what the culture is, what it's about, what the main ins and outs of your life are, and why they're as such. And because of these major aspects, you can then pull cards out of a deck after you create characters.
Yeah.
They have roles. And then you can pull cards out of a deck that are concepts that you can apply to these aspects.
I'm
right?
going to need a concept.
Right. So, for example, first Martian colony.
Right.
The aspects that the board agreed on were... we are space truckers.
Got it.
We do our trucking.
Got it.
That's our jobs. The other is we are running from our past.
All right. Space truckers running from their past.
Right. And the third one was we are chosen. Right?
Okay.
So they basically take the two concepts of we are chosen and we are running from our past to be we did some bad stuff in our past, thus we were chosen as convicts.
Or space truckers.
Exactly, to be the first Martian people.
Be the first space truckers. Got it.
And so you're kind of on a set. You're set up. You guys are pretty much like prisoners sent to this colony
To truck.
right? To truck, and,
Yes.
and so on. So those are the aspects. So then you go, all right. So there's things that are dangerous about space trucking, such as Martian. Sand storms.
Yeah, the most dangerous thing about space trucking, if I could think about it, was that when you're hanging your arm at the space truck and you're on a long haul, you get a tan, but on only one side of your body because the sun's always over there.
Yeah. Or sometimes your CB radio cuts out, and then you can't be a convoy. Either way, so an example would be that we're space truckers, right? Then you would pull out a card that has a concept that says friend, right? You're going to have a concept for someone that you can trust when things get rough. You play that friend card on top of your aspect, which is space truckers.
Okay.
And then you go, all right, what would a space trucker on Mars call a friend? And they're like, and then you have a conversation about it, and you go, what about like a secondary point of contact, right? And it's like, okay, that's a secondary point of contact. Now, that shortens into like an SPOC or a Spock, but that just sounds like Spock, so that's no good. So then what about secondary communicator, an SC? Okay, what about an SE? So now an SE becomes a term for a friend you can trust in the midst of these storms.
It sounds like a fucking game for language nerds.
It was made by linguists that are really into the languaging. And
Because don't ever suggest me to play this game because I'm just gonna name everything like shit, man.
Yeah, so if you don't feel like having fun with like creative sort of thoughts on like nicknames and slang,
Yeah.
then you're not going to have a good time, right?
You just do the FF7 thing where you name everybody like dumb bullshit.
You can pull an HP Lovecraft.
I don't think I can.
uh,
The forms never came back. I filed my paperwork
Yeah.
for my card.
yeah,
Never got a call back.
how about that? Well, anyway, you definitely have to play this cooperatively and have fun discussing, coming up with like world building and language in this way. And if you don't enjoy that, then this is not going to work out, right? But if you think that's cool, then it's like, okay, so now our friends are called Essies, right? And then you come up with little things like that. So like a word for a thing that you do in this world, right?
Yeah.
Once you create that word, you then have a discussion with another character about or not about like using that word. So you improvise a role playing moment that your two characters would have where you work this word into the conversation.
I think because I'm not very creative,
Yeah.
I don't understand the point of this game.
So the point of the game is
What is the win? How do you win?
you just tell the story and get to an ending.
What? But how do you win?
There's no win or lose as much as there is a enjoy the story being told aspect of it. That's what a storytelling game is. I didn't know this about this genre until this game, but the idea is, you can, and things can happen along the way. Characters can die. Things can change.
Can I kill all of your characters?
You can,
Then I win.
but there's still other things to be sorted out, right? So your character has control over whatever aspects of the world your class is. So like so my class was like an explorer,
Okay.
right? Whereas like Steph was like an oracle, was the information getter. I was the person going out into the unknown and finding new things. There's like little things like that where you kind of just like you can play however you want. The thing develops. In our case, it worked out in such a way where Reggie ended up being like a super antagonist.
I hate this because these types of games always make me feel so stupid.
Why?
Because I feel really stupid right now. Because I'm still literally stuck on. But how do you win?
Okay, so let me walk you through.
Yeah.
So because like I have to explain the interaction between characters.
Sure.
As a turn.
Uh-huh.
There are a number of turns before you get to the ending.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so after everyone takes their turn making a word, we have like say 4 words on the board.
Sure.
That's the end of the first stage.
Okay.
Time moves forward, and a prompt in the book says something happens, right? Like something changes the situation.
Right.
So these space trucker prisoners that are all doing their daily thing, right?
Yeah.
So like for example, like being another word that got played was like a greeting, right? And you put the word greeting on top of we are running from our past.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so we're former criminals,
Yeah.
right? And what would they come up with? And so they're like, well, what if we took a thing that meant one thing and kind of played it around? So they're like, okay, the greeting for space prisoner truckers is pardon.
Okay.
Because it's like a thing you would say in the middle of a conversation.
Sure.
But it also represents an idea of something you might want to get.
All right.
So you have these words that build up and you use them in conversations as you go. And then something happens such as at the end of the first stage or the beginning of the second stage, someone trucks way out into the way beyond where you usually truck, and they find somewhere deep on Mars another shipment pre-landing container, and they open it up and they find a bunch of like supplies for another drop ship and some weapons in there. So you go, whoa, this is bad. What does this mean?
Right.
And it means Earth is sending more people over to us.
Right.
So the people who are like, man, fuck Earth to begin with are now like, wow, they want to come and fucking take us out, or we don't know what's going on. What do we do? Right. And then like that changes the isolated community so that, for example, people that decide, you know what, fuck those old Earth people, right? They're going to come and they want to come for us, or whatever, we're going to fight him. So then as you move into age 2, the card that says we are running from our past becomes we are fighting our past.
Okay.
You're confused.
Were you taking turns to do this?
We were taking turns having a word be created and then having a conversation.
Okay.
After we all have one of those,
you're just talking.
yes. After we all go around the table and do it, the age ends.
I think part of my confusion is that you described this at the very beginning as a board game.
It is because
is there a board?
There's a table. There's cards on the table, and we are writing on them.
Okay, but there's no pieces.
There's no pieces. No.
Okay,
it's more like
so it's a brainstorming session.
I mean, so tabletop D&D? There's no pieces.
D&D has pieces.
D&D can have pieces, but I've never played with them. I've only played with paper and dice, right? So this is if you don't want to associate the word board game with it, that's fine. But
no, because I'm like the whole time I'm like thinking like, so we have a conversation. I'm like, then where do you move your piece?
Tabletop game.
Okay, I guess.
All right. So what the table looks like is like you have 3 circles that are for each age, and then you have words that you write on cards and put them within these age rings, kind of.
Right.
Thing. So anyway, yeah, we just take turns creating words, having conversations with them. And then those all like, sort of establish things about our characters or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you move on to the next stage. And then the next step of the story happens.
Is there like a 5-age limit or something?
3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it just naturally ends.
And then the second will cause another ramp up of escalation. And then the third age will always be in every story about how your community comes to an end. Right? So it's going to be something bad where your unique like language and dialect is going to die off or whatever. But you have to like just kind of see how that plays out and whatever by following sort of like these ideas, creating new words. Sometimes you'll get a prompt, let's say towards the end of the game, that's like create a portmanteau. Take 2 previously created words and find a way to put them together for a new concept or something like that.
Yeah.
What's confusing?
This just sounds like a shittier version of Loopy Lore.
It's
because I understood that game.
Yeah, but Loopy Lore. Loopy Lore is really fun, but this is more about like inventing slang
Why would you do that?
Okay, whatever, Pat. Anyway, man, like, what do you want me to tell you? So anyway, so that's the game. Jesus, like, it's not that complicated. It's not that hard. I feel like you're acting to make it seem more complicated than it is.
I wish I was.
I feel like you're making these faces like, what do you say? Like, what am I saying that's hard to follow?
You don't know what it's like in here.
Like, what part of what am I saying is so weird or confusing? You sit around, right? You're role playing like a D&D game.
Yeah, Woolie, do you want me to go back in time to like a month and a half ago? Where I fucking like talked to the people in my Discord for like 3.5 hours about not understanding the concept of GTA 5 role playing. Trust me.
Okay.
I am not putting it on.
Okay.
I don't understand.
Okay, so no, you understand. You just don't get why that's fun to people.
That's what I mean by I don't understand.
Okay, so whatever. If you don't have fun with it, you can still. That's not the same as I don't understand the concept at all.
Well, yeah, because if I don't understand it, why does it exist?
Can I just describe the game?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So anyway, at the end of the third age, you pull out a legacy card, and that'll tell you. It'll give you a couple options about how to give your character an epilogue, right?
All right.
And then you all will choose your character's epilogue, and you kind of like, because you're telling them to the table, you can work them all together to create a definitive ending, so to speak. That, if your guy dies, my card then I might have to make my thing about the reaction to your death or something like that.
Or the fallout or
whatever. Yeah. And or like the baby you've left behind, and I'm now gonna, like you fell off the tower. Okay, cool. Well, I won my fight against you, and you found a kid hiding behind a pillar.
Yeah.
Get over here, Rock Howard. Right?
Yeah.
Then we walk off into the sunset, and that's the ending, right? So but whatever happens, you have these like this unique dialect of slang that you kind of created.
And
in
there's
this
no
isolated
winner. It's like
community.
a cooperative.
Yeah,
like,
and
we all had fun telling the story.
Well, if you're able to improvise a good story together and it's not too shitty or like clunky, then you have fun improvising a story. You know, it's.
I'm reminded of a D&D game I was invited to 14 years ago, in which the party was like, hey, let's go to this event. And I was like, I don't want to. And I went elsewhere and then did something. I think I killed some guy because he was a dick. And that guy ended up being important. And then I was like, okay, well, that was fun. I can't make it next week. And they're like, we literally can't play our D&D session without your character now because you fucked it up.
Yeah.
And I apparently ruined their whole campaign.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't get it. I thought it's all your imagination. Do whatever you want.
Wow, you're a piece of shit.
I don't understand.
You're the worst.
Why don't they just imagine that I didn't happen?
People like you are fucking trash.
I don't get it. The whole point is that you're supposed to be able to do whatever you want because it's imagination. So why would anyone ever get mad at what I used my imagination to do?
Yeah. So, you know, in a movie when someone dies before you get to film the sequel,
yeah,
and then you gotta fucking figure some shit out.
Yeah.
You know how that's never as great as it would have been if you had a shot at.
You don't know that.
Okay, but you know how it's usually like you're like, okay, fuck, write the character out.
Yeah.
Or worse, you know how sometimes there's a story that's going on, and then one of the people in the story pretends to get attacked by white supremacists and fakes being like attacked and having gasoline poured on them, and then calls into the police with a lynch fucking rope around their neck, and the cops go, "Why do you have that on your neck?" And they're like,
"Why didn't you take it off?"
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to show you. Right.
Yeah.
And then they go on stage and they call themselves the Gay Tupac.
Okay.
Right. So when someone does that, and then they're no longer welcome back on the show that they were a part of, you have to find a way to write a season without them somehow.
Right.
And it sucks.
And creativity fucking excels in adversity.
It can, but it doesn't always do so.
Well, then why doesn't...
See House of Cards.
Then why doesn't... Isn't the DM's job to stop this?
No, the DM's job is to do the best they can with what they have.
No, but DMs can just stop things. If they want to, they could be like, you can't go that way, a dragon will kill you.
Well, they can roll dice. A good DM...
good DM lies. This I know.
A good DM will manipulate it so that you can believe the reasons why you can't go through that door.
It has been my understanding from knowing many people who play D&D that a good DM will roll dice behind that little board and just say whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, a good DM will hide all the invisible choices from you like a David Cage game.
Right.
Let's be real. They can. But that doesn't change the fact that when in the middle of a conversation or a fight, if a character suddenly just disappears and never comes back, it's a little bit hard to work that in.
I was busy that following
week. So, everyone kind of fucking hates those people. It is what it is. That being said, that's not the point.
Well, the whole point of that was to be like, no, trust me. This is not an act. This is all real confusion.
Okay. But
I don't understand make-believe.
When I watch 40-man raids, I don't think it looks fun.
Right.
But I can understand the process of what is happening.
Sure.
As people get together and beat a thing to get cool rewards.
But that's the thing that I don't get, because make-believe doesn't have a process. It's all just blah, blah, blah in your head.
You know how people do improv?
Yeah.
Right?
We do improv.
Yeah, I guess we do. In fact, we're doing it right now.
Somewhat.
I tend to prefer... It's not my favorite form of comedy.
Yeah.
In fact, it's pretty low down the priority chain.
Mm-hmm.
But when someone comes in and improvs correctly or well by making funny things happen or you doing something really interesting or entertaining, then you get a really cool moment out of it, right?
Right.
There's a cool local group that does some amazing improv stuff that I'm like, that's like one of the only improv groups I like. Or for example, have you ever watched and enjoyed an episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway?
I did, yes.
Okay, so that principle is
But
the
that
same.
was for humor. People aren't playing D&D for humor.
So the same principle behind the entertainment of improvising on Whose Line Is It Anyway can apply to sitting together with your friends and playing a storytelling game. It doesn't have to be humor. It can just be really cool. It can just be an enjoyable adventure, a unique set of circumstances that you find fascinating or interesting. You can think about a character that you might be like, oh yeah, that's a fun idea. And you know what? If you're role playing and your storytelling session goes great enough and you happen to be, I don't know, Margaret Weiss or Tracy Hickman, maybe you can write an awesome story out of it.
Okay.
So, you get to the end of the story, and then that's pretty much it. The game is Dialect. I had a fun time playing it. And I think that it's really unique. I've never played a game like it. But I will say, if you're going to grab it and take a look at it, it's a book. It's got a lot of reading in it. And many of those pages are not about the game itself and the rules of play. Many of those pages are about how to, like
how to make a good word or what have you.
how to be nice to fellow players and how you should live your life.
Wait, really?
A little bit. And
like, don't yell down that someone's word is fucking stupid is in the rules?
Yeah,
or,
things like that.
Okay.
How to be, conscientious.
That seems like the kind of thing born out of versions of this game that got super intense.
No.
Oh.
No, it's I think it's just a little bit on the preachy side.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, and I was having a bit of a hard time just getting to the rules because I just want to learn how to play, and I can't because there's so much preface that's all about how to eggshell the friends you're playing with, and then the last section of the book is about like how to preserve language in real life and things you can do to be open and inviting.
I don't know, man. We're part of the internet generation. The idea of preserving language seems so laughable that I can't even.
I know. It was not lost on us that we were playing this in a province that tried to separate from Canada due to language preservation.
Right.
So we definitely understood that a setting could be made for an isolated Quebec.
Oh, yes.
But it doesn't.
You need a permit to buy an English muffin.
But literally, there's parts of the book that have there's a page called "Raise Bilingual Children," So there's these bits and pieces in there where I'm like, man,
are you fucking for real? That is preachy as shit.
I swear to God,
that is preachy as shit.
I'm just trying to be like, listen, this game is a really cool concept. I would love it to have a quick start card.
Yeah.
Because that would be an awesome way to just be like, do this and reference it on this page, right? So then you have almost like the book would almost serve as a DM guide, but this is not what the case is. The book is about 150 pages. I would say 30 of them are dedicated to the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
The rest are either preface about the importance of telling stories.
This is, oh, God.
Or the other thing I was talking about, which is just the kind of preachiness of it. And it's thick. It's thick, and I'm not going to pretend that it's not there. So just keep that in mind going into it. Maybe if you don't mind that stuff, maybe it was just me on a personal level that I was like rolling my eyes reading through it. But it's still a cool game. Otherwise, the concept is fun. And I would recommend checking it out. I know you can grab a PDF online. I think it's Thorny Games are the name of the folks that made it. So that's going to be coming up in a multi-part series on Table Lords over at WoolieVersus. And for those of you who have been waiting for a kind of like role-playing campaign sort of tabletop thing, adventure from Table Lords, this will be it. This will be a good example of that. So this is going to be something that is like a multi-part story building session. Most of the game is world building, right? 80% of the game is world building, and then 20% of the game is like having these little conversations and using the language. And so when it seems like the setup is long, don't worry about it, because the setup is the game, you know?
Yeah.
But for those of you who are looking forward to some of that, you can check it out upcoming soon on WoolieVersus alongside Spec Ops: The Line. And of course, Death Stranding continues. And, you know, get into fighting games and so on.
Creating things is weird.
Creating things is weird. I agree. It's so weird that I have a podcast to talk about it, because it has so many weird things that you don't expect to happen. That also is going to be coming out, so you can check that out. Woolie will figure it out on WoolieVersus as well.
I feel like whenever this type of conversation comes up, I feel so insane as to actually even feel isolated, because especially in like this line of work,
Yeah.
almost all of my colleagues are some form of creative.
Yeah.
And the first thing that pops into my mind when somebody's like, yeah, I'm going to create something, I'm like, why create something? Why not just consume a better thing that someone else made, and then you don't have to do it?
You're talking into a podcast microphone on a podcast I created.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, you created it. Why would I create a podcast when you made a better podcast, and then now I just sit here and just talk?
Well, so no one's telling you to have fun with the idea that you can't, that you don't have fun with.
Right.
It's just a live and let live scenario.
Right.
Right. So if you
I don't want anyone to stop doing things that they enjoy. I just wish I could even like grasp with my fingertips as to why they are enjoying it.
Because the face you make is not one of "I wish I could grasp."
No, it's a face
you
of
make...
total confusion.
Okay.
Sorry, maybe I'm my head is bad, but like it is like bafflement, befuddlement.
Okay. Because there are things that I think people do for fun that are not fun at all.
Yeah, I think I made there's a comment I made where somebody said on my stream a few nights ago was like, hey, I thought RE6 was really fun because I played it with my friend and it was really fun in co-op.
Yeah.
And I said people can find anything fun in co-op. People poop in each other's mouths and have fun in co-op because they're with their friend or whatever. I don't think that's fun to do, but some people do.
People free solo climb.
Yeah.
That is, to me, the least fun thing in the world.
Yeah, because you could die.
Yes. However, I can wrap my head around the idea that some people get so skilled at normal climbing that they want to take it to the next level.
Yeah, it's no fun anymore.
And the adrenaline shoot needs to be, as high as possible.
Yeah, kick it up.
So I'm able to go, fair enough. That's horrifying to me.
Yeah.
But I get why it's fun for them. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just okay. It's not for me, but I know why it exists. And that's all you have to have as an attitude.
Yeah, but I don't even get there. I don't even get to the part where like, but why would this be fun? It makes me feel like my brain is broken.
And if there was like two of you, then you might talk about...
I have to fight my clone.
No, if you might discuss how people who do that make no sense and shouldn't be around. And if there were like 10 of you, then you might like come to the idea that those are the bad people. And if there are 100 of you, do you see where this goes?
Well, no, you need those people around so that they can make things for you to enjoy.
But if the people are doing the thing that you don't like...
Well, here's the thing, and this is really important.
Live and let live.
This is... No. This is really important. There are two types of Pat craziness. There's the one where I'm like, everything should be this way. And then there's the one like this where I'm like, I realize that Pat is the problem.
Okay.
Pat's brain, very problem.
Okay. So,
Maybe I'm missing part of my brain, the creative part.
it was really funny because when I thought I was going to talk about Dialect, right?
Yeah.
I thought I was going to just break the game down as it was, and it would be a pretty straightforward,
Yeah.
uneventful breakdown of like, oh, that's an interesting game about language.
Yeah.
And then I'd get to the preachy part, and then that would be where it all
Yeah.
went to shit. But I couldn't even get
Yeah,
past chapter 1.
Yeah. I don't get language. We should all just have the one language. That seems simpler. Esperanto or whatever the fuck.
Esperanto.
Yeah, fuck it. Let's all just learn that. I would learn that right away if I could guarantee that everybody else would learn it also. And we can throw English and French and Spanish and all the others in the trash and be like, that's the language of the old world.
And what are polyglots supposed to do?
Fucking get owned, I guess.
Damn. You just gonna shit on Lao Shu like that?
I don't know who that is.
He's a YouTube guy that like speaks. He won't say how many languages, but a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
And he literally just records himself walking around. He's a black guy walking around, talking to various people from various cultures and fucking their day up.
I mean, you can enjoy being an expert of a formerly important topic, like those who could repair Model T Fords.
See, the problem with that is that, like any linguist will tell you, that language actually informs how you think.
I hate linguists.
Do you like grammarians?
No.
Okay. Well, any linguist will tell you that language affects how you think.
Yes, and it can be proscriptive or descriptive.
That's not even where I was going. I was going
Yeah.
to say your L1,
Yeah.
the language you learn first,
Mhm.
is often going to describe like what and how you break the world down.
Right.
And in some cases, I've heard
Yeah.
from linguists that this is possibly why, for example, people who learn Chinese first and think in Chinese
Mhm.
are better at mathematical things because the language actually lends itself towards that type of thinking.
Yeah, sure. But that's not a problem if everybody learns one language.
No, but then you lose that option.
Oh well.
But that option might be worth it for that benefit. Well, you say but then you're losing out on good shit. Is not the sound.
I don't know. The ability to talk to any person on the planet seems like a great advantage. That seems really useful.
Okay.
The dissolution of all human borders.
Okay. I don't know how true
Listen, we just need to get to human instrumentality.
I don't know.
Saying.
I don't know how true that specific example I was given is, and it seems like most folks are saying that was a terrible, stupid idea. So, fair enough. If that sounds insane and dumb, then I'm insane and dumb, and I'll.
Well, you see the
I'll
divot.
I'll take that hit.
You see the divot on the skull.
Yeah.
Really shows off.
Yeah. I'll take that
where
hit.
the math comes from.
I'll take that hit. As someone who's just repeating what a linguist told me, I'll take that hit. I didn't.
This is why you don't trust linguists.
I didn't
because they're evil.
I didn't think twice about it. I simply heard that and went, "Okay, you probably know what you're talking about."
You know what reminds me of when I stopped? Like whenever somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a language expert," and I was like, is when I remember fucking language students back in university being like, oh man, if only we could just observe a feral child for long enough.
Okay.
And have them create their own feral language. We could learn so much.
Sure.
And it's like, put your fucking boner away, you psychopath.
Oh, like when those 5 or 6 siblings were found in like an apartment where they lived for their whole lives. And they created their own language of like grunts and hisses.
And caveman shit.
Yeah. And then like everyone was like, this is horrifying. And then a couple of linguists were like,
oh man, but it's so interesting, isn't it? The data.
Yeah.
The data Ryu.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know what? If that sounds entirely insane, then yeah, that's
as somebody who talks
regurg.
Incorrectly on purpose for humorous effect. Linguists are my natural enemy.
That being said, though, if that specific example is wildly nuts, I still imagine the idea of you thinking differently based on your language.
Oh, that's cool.
Your first language is still... That sounds factual.
Sure.
Right? That part of it's not wildly wrong.
The one that it makes me think of is like languages that have masculine and feminine pronouns
Uh-huh.
per object.
Yeah.
And it's like a ship is a lady
Yes.
and a bridge is a man.
Yeah.
Or, and stuff like that.
There's bits
'Cause
like
they're
that in there.
strong and all that stupid shit.
Mm-hmm. Or yeah, or even like your ability to read a long ass word,
Yeah.
like with like everything spaced, like no spaces,
Mhm.
and like a crazy long German word or
That's
something
crazy.
like that. But yeah, anyway,
Language is a accident, and I will not be told how to talk by no fancy book learner.
Tower of Babel though.
Yeah. So I thought you of all people would be gunning for the one language future as the big middle finger to God.
I'm down,
Okay.
but I'm down with the idea of a universal in addition to our individual.
Oh yeah, sure. You know, I mean,
languages.
you can't make people forget their old languages.
No.
I mean, you literally can't.
So I'm super down with like switching to fucking Babelfish.
Or Galactic Basic or
Yeah,
whatever the fuck.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's all fine by me. I
Yeah.
think that needs to happen. I think that should I think that should exist. But I don't. But it's the difference between getting rid of all the old languages versus introducing a universal secondary.
No, I don't think we should get rid of all the old ones. They can exist.
That's not how it sounded a minute ago.
Well, no. I mean, I said.
In fact, I think you literally said we should get rid of all the languages, or it's a sentence to that effect. I
right.
believe a sentence to that effect.
You
came
know,
out of
that's
your mouth.
possible.
Yeah.
What I meant was we should like just have them get old in the dirt.
Yeah.
Like
So.
what's the language like Latin?
Mm-hmm.
Latin's old.
Latin's very old.
People don't talk it no more.
Sounds really cool when you sing it, though.
Yeah, it does.
Audi famam.
I remember I was listening. I started up Final Fantasy VIII, and they play the Latin music
Yep.
there, and my dad walked in and thought I was listening to Devil Worship
Yep.
because it was in Latin,
Sure.
and I was like, "It's a Jesus, Dad. It's like it's not even. You're way off."
Smash Brothers. The Matrix.
Oh, good old Matrix.
There's all kinds of really cool times when you want someone singing in Latin. It's good shit.
But why would you ever make something?
Because if enough people think it's cool, you can get really rich.
That's true.